Hi, this is Dr. Mike Carberry with Advanced Medical Integration, and I have a very special guest today that I'm very proud to introduce. It's Mr. Don Mann. Don, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Nice to meet you. Don is one of those individuals that is humble and has every reason not to be, so I'm going to try to pull out of him who he is and why you should be listening to him. So Don, you have a very, very interesting background. Why don't you tell our listeners what your career has been?
I spent 21 years in the military. I was a SEAL, Navy SEAL, retired from SEAL Team 6. Served at SEAL Team 1, 2, and 6. And I've been doing extreme adventure sports for a little over 40 years. And done over 1,000 competitions, including Ironmans and double Ironmans, 500, 600-mile adventure races, non-stop adventure races, and climbed a lot of mountains. And I'm still doing those things. I just came off of a 750-mile paddle.
Wow.
And so I like pushing my body.
So how old are you, if you don't mind me?
I'm 61.
61, 750-mile paddle.
Yeah.
And didn't you just recently climb a mountain that was 12,000 feet?
Yeah, I was up on Pikes Peak last week, 14,000 footer, but I was up on Everest 2 years ago. So yeah, I like going out to Colorado doing 14.
Everest is 29,000 feet?
29. I didn't summit Everest though.
Right.
I didn't summit. I actually got pulmonary and cerebral edema and had to come back down.
People die on that mountain every year.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy task.
No.
So how high did you get, do you know?
Yeah, well, I was up on the ice fall. When you leave base camp, the ice field is not too far from there. That's 18,000, 20,000, 21,000 is the ice field.
Mm-hmm.
And I got sick up there.
Wow. So the highest I've ever been was a little over 12,000. And I didn't get sick, but one of the guys in our group got sick. So I can understand when you start getting up in those ranges, like 12,000 is probably nothing for you. That was like the warm-up. So that's pretty amazing. So tell our listeners about SEAL Team 6, because people hear these different things. What's the difference between SEAL Team 6 and the other SEAL teams?
Well, all the SEAL team members all go through BUD/S, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, which is considered the toughest military training in the world. And it's 6 months long. After you get out of BUD/S, you might start with a class of 125, 150 people, and usually graduate about 22, 23 people. Once they graduate, they go to a SEAL team. Any of the other teams but 6, they don't go to SEAL Team 6. They go to one of the other SEAL teams, and they spend a good year or so there before they get the Navy SEAL Trident saying that they're a SEAL. If they do a certain amount of deployments, they're ranked high with their peers, and the records are stellar records and all at the regular SEAL teams, then you can put in for selection for SEAL Team 6. And if you get selected, then you start all over. You're a brand new guy, you go through some training that's harder than BUD/S, I think. It's more advanced, it's called Green Team, and you go through that, you're starting all over, and then you go to one of the assault teams or squadrons, and then you're a brand new member at SEAL Team 6. Basically, like the regular SEAL teams, you don't talk for a while, you just listen. And you listen to all these veterans, combat-proven veterans, and now you're at a team that's different than the rest of the teams. They just unlimited funding at SEAL Team 6, and they have a worldwide operational commitment. So at any given point, you have to be able to have your bags packed and get on a plane to operate in the jungle, the desert, the Arctic, ocean, urban, anywhere in the world.
Right.
The other SEAL teams are more geographical. You might have desert, you might have jungle, you might have Central South America type operations. SEAL Team 6 is worldwide.
So is it correct the even number of SEAL teams are on the East Coast?
Yes, that
and
is.
the odd number of SEAL teams are on the West Coast?
That's correct.
And the difference between SEAL Team 6 and the others is that's the branch that the president would use if they had an executive action they had to do?
That's right. SEAL Team 6 is, it's got a different chain of command, it's got different funding, and they're usually chosen for the select missions.
So you were in some pretty interesting missions. I remember when I was younger, watching on the news, Manuel Noriega. Were you involved with that?
Yes, actually, Noriega, the coup happened in October, and I went down there in November, and I spent 4 years down there in counter-drug work, and I wasn't involved with capturing Noriega, but I was there during those operations.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's you're a humble guy, but man, not many people can say they did what you did. Not only did you get into SEALs, which is the elite of the military, but you got in the elite of the SEALs, which is probably the toughest branch of anything in our military that we have to offer. So that's pretty amazing. Has it beat up your body over the years?
You know, I'm very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing now in my 60s, and it has beaten up my body. I can't complain because I've got a lot of friends who are paralyzed and all types of damage, and I'm still moving and I'm still active. But I have 20 or so plus injuries or something that I have to deal with frequently, and they're just wear and tear more than anything. But so it's just a pain that I've been dealing with. Limited range of motion.
I heard you speak not too long ago, and you told a story about a high altitude jump out of an airplane. And you want to just touch on that one injury?
Sure. So we were doing these HAGOs, high altitude, high opening jumps, and that means you're way above the clouds, 17,000 to 30,000 feet you're jumping. High altitude, high opening means when you jump out, you pull your parachute almost right away. So it's a high opening. And that way you can jump 40 to 70 miles away from the target. You're way above the clouds, you're in the middle of the night, and you're flying and nobody knows you're there. The people on the ground don't hear the jet or the aircraft you jump from. And you land, you drop your parachutes, and you go on with the mission. Well, this one jump, and you're on oxygen, you have all this equipment. You have a big rucksack and a weapon and a GPS system, an oxygen mask, a radio. You have all this gear on, and it's cumbersome, and it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. I went out and I jumped, and I had a bad exit where my body flipped through my parachute risers, and the parachute risers spun and hit my helmet and snapped my neck off to the left, and my oxygen mask went off. And I just saw a bright burst of like white spots. I thought my neck had snapped. There was a lot of pain in my neck, and I knew my jaw was shot. The mask just flew off and tucked my neck and jaw that way. I did a cutaway, so I got rid of the bad parachute, pulled a reserve, so I had a reserve, and I got my oxygen mask back on. The white spots started disappearing, so the lack of oxygen, I was getting my oxygen now. And I went to talk on the radio, I got my mask back on, and I had to push to talk, and I talked on the radio to try to tell my teammates who were way up there still, I had a cutaway, I'll be there, I'll land, and I'll run up to your position. But I couldn't speak because my jaw was off to the left.
So you dislocated your jaw?
Yep. And so I was thinking, I'm a medic, I know how to put a jaw back in place. And I just took my thumbs and put it on the back of my teeth and snapped it back into place. And then I was able
While
to
you were
talk.
floating?
Yeah, while I was coming down. Yep.
That's incredible.
And I remember kind of smiling, thinking, you know, I used to think something like this would be a problem, but the mindset you develop after some good training like we received, that wasn't really a problem at the time. But so I got my jaw back into place and finished the mission, everything else was fine.
So you're a humble person, you downplay a lot of these injuries, but you've really had some serious injuries. Do you want to share some of those with us?
A lot of my injuries are wear and tear. I guess starting from the top, I've had numerous brain injuries, head injuries. I fractured a lot of the bones in my face, my skull, fractured all my ribs, my arms, fractured many of my bones. I lost this eye almost, they saved it, it was an accident. I dislocated my jaw in a parachute accident. Going down, I've torn this rotator cuff twice. This one has 2 partial tears in it now, repaired and just retorn. There's a bone spur and the joint's degenerated. I've got skin cancer, I've got Lyme's disease, frostbite, hypothermia, I've had hyperthermia and hypothermia. And so when you get it once, you're more prone to get it again. On Everest, I developed high-altitude pulmonary edema and cerebral edema, where my brain cavity was filling with fluids and my lungs were filling with fluids. And I was drowning in my own fluids up at Everest. I lost my color vision, lost my memory. I didn't know which way was up or down, and came real close to dying up there. And then going down, lots of just wear and tear type things. My knees, back in the 70s, I did 30 marathons in 3 years, and I went bone on bone for my knees. And then going down further, I had plantar fascia in both feet, became flat-footed, I had nerve damage in both feet, and frostbite from a mission we did in Korea, a training mission in SEAL teams. So I have a lot of wear and tear, and it's something I've learned to live with. And I'm a multi-sport athlete, so if I can't paddle because my shoulders hurt so much, I do more cycling.
You injured your spine at some point too, did you?
I broke my back in 2 places on a parachute jump. Yep, I broke my back in 2 places. I forgot about that. And it's just, what reminds me is sometimes I can't look to my left.
Got it. Well, we're not going to go into the detail now because you're going to talk about this because you're going to be attending our convention in San Diego in October. We're excited about that.
I look forward to that.
You're going to go into more detail, but you had some problems with that jaw over the years,
I have.
and you've had problems with your shoulder
Yes.
and
Yep.
knees
Yep.
and other areas.
Yeah.
And we just did some treatment with you with some regenerative medicine, injecting some stem cells. And you want to just share with us briefly what happened with your shoulder when we did that?
Yes. It was about 3 weeks ago. I had 8 shots in my jaw, shoulders, knees, and feet. And I didn't really know what to expect. The staff, for one, is by far the best medical staff I've ever seen in my life. And the facility was the greatest medical facility I've ever stepped foot in. Those 2 things were so impressive when I walked in. I didn't really know what to expect, so I got the shots, and it was so professionally done. There was a scanner, like I guess a CAT scan, showing where the joint and where the needle was going. So my arm was lifted up, and when it was moved, I could see where the joint was,
Right.
where the tears
That was
were.
an ultrasound.
I'm sorry, ultrasound.
Yeah.
And they did the injections and the ultrasound, and really it was painless. And that was it. And they did both shoulders, both knees, both feet. And so I didn't really have any expectations. I had a good feel that this could work, but in less than 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks later, I went to see my chiropractor, who's been treating me for another torn muscle because I had a bicycle accident, went over the handlebars, and I re-tore the shoulder. And I had limited range of motion, lots of pain, and he would look at me for 8 treatments after this bike accident. He said, "Don, that's in bad shape. I don't know what to tell you. They can't do surgery on it. It's beyond repair for surgery. I'm so sorry. This is painful for you. I know." Every time he'd just shake his head and say, "I don't know what to tell you." He did the red light Luminex therapy, active release, and his chiropractic adjustments. I went there this week. I had my appointment to see him this week after my regenerative medicine, the stem cell injections.
Yep.
And he said to me, he said, before I got to tell him what happened, I was telling him during the treatment, he said, "Don, I've never seen your shoulder look this good. It's unbelievable, the range of motion you have." And he was baffled. He said, "I can't believe it." And I was telling him about the treatments as we were going on. And I don't even know if that was registered with him. He was in disbelief that my shoulder had all this range of motion without any pain.
Right.
I mean, before I went in there, when I drive a car, I'd have to put my hand up on the steering wheel like this. And now I have this movement I haven't had
It's
for
under
years.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So he's going to tell us more about how he's recovered with these injections at our convention. So I don't want to steal the surprise now, but you just noticed in 3 weeks you have motion in your arm that you haven't had for years.
Without pain, too.
Isn't that incredible?
It is.
Yeah, that's
I'm in disbelief, actually.
Yeah. This is what people go through all the time when they get these treatments done in our offices. By the way, that injection was done by Gary Rademacher's staff and Karen Rita, Dr. Gary Rademacher in downtown clinic in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
And she is the nurse practitioner who trains all of our nurse practitioners how to inject. So you got a taste of what AMI is all about, and that's what we do. So you've been working with vets for over the last 5 years. You've developed some programs to help them. You've even been on Fox News, and you've more recently been on Fox.com. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I did create a program, a nonprofit called Frogman Charities, and what I want to do is raise awareness for the veterans who need assistance. They are getting assistance, but not even close to what they need. So yeah, I went on Fox and Friends in the morning, created an obstacle course, and that was televised, and that was for Frogman Charities. And just recently, the last thing was Fox, was the story about my accident I had on Everest a couple of years ago. So always finding ways and working with veterans in any way I can to help them. They need our help more than ever. And the hospitals, the VA hospitals are packed. It's hard for them to get appointments. A lot of guys refuse treatment because they think they're okay, even though they're not. So many of them coming back with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, all types of injuries. And their lives are really a lot different after they get out of the military than before they went in. They're different people now. Our country's never asked so much about veterans than they are now. Right now, you talk to a 40-year-old who's getting ready to retire, he's been at war his whole life. They need our help badly. So I will do anything to help the veterans.
Yeah, we work with a lot of athletes, and we do, we have a program where we're looking at how can we help the veterans. So it's interesting how our missions kind of overlap. And it's very good work that you're doing. We're very proud to know you. And I know you motivate these guys to, to change their life for the better. They have to have that drive to say, you know what, I can do this. I can make my life better. And that's very similar with what we're doing with patients, which is why we're so glad we're able to talk to our doctors to motivate them to help others to get well. So we share a common mission, and we're really glad that you and I and our paths have crossed and that we're working together to help people with this. So I just want to thank you for being with me on this podcast. And for the work that you did for our country, and the service you did for our country. Thank you for all that. Don Mann, if you want to hear more from Don, he is going to be at our convention in San Diego in October. It's not something you're going to want to miss. So until then, we'll see you in San Diego.